No.
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Okay. All right, well, so MISA tonight, we kind of have a department takeover of MISA because we used to do this info session on like a separate day, and then we realized in the past, we got to go where the students are. So the students are here, so why have it on a separate day? So we're thankful for MISA for allowing us to sort of take over their info session. So tonight what we're going to talk about is our MSITM program and our MIS program and the combined version that allows you to do what we call the accelerated program. Right, so we'll go through all the advisor, Michelle Williams, right? So she's been recovering throughout the semester, and then with all the water leaks and everything in the, kind of the structure stop, so that way you don't have to like make a note of it and ask it at the end, so that we can kind of cover it when we're going through that topic. All right? Sound like a plan? Did everybody get some of the flyers or handouts that we had in the front during the meeting? You don't have to wait all the way to the end to grab something, so it's all good. We won't be offended. So. Okay. So you are here, right, for the accelerated program, or at least wanting to hear something about it, right? So pretty much like I said before, our accelerated program is basically just our undergraduate MIS and our graduate MSITM program, and it allows you to have that ability to accelerate from your undergraduate MIS right into your graduate MSITM. So the accelerate may sound like misleading. I don't want you to think like you're going at lightning speed to finish the program. But what this does is accelerate you through the admission process. So essentially how it will work is you'll have a nice seamless transition right from your undergraduate to your graduate degree. It will almost feel like there was just a continuity between undergraduate grad. There's really no pause period, and we'll talk about some of the bridge classes that you'll take that'll help you kind of transition through that process. It allows students to be able to get their undergraduate MIS and their graduate MSITM in as little as 5 years. So essentially, depending on how quickly you want to go through the program, it's up to you. But we've had plenty of students do it in 5 years, where basically they'll do the undergraduate in about 4, and then about 1 year for the master's component, because we'll talk a little bit later, you do get to take one of the graduate classes, and maybe 2 depending on your situation, as a bridge course while you're still an undergraduate student. Probably one of the greatest benefits of the program is that you don't have to do the GRE or the GMAT. So for those of you who have you guys heard about some of those, they're not usually good stories for the most part that people mention about that. So the accelerated program gives you the opportunity to have that waived. So there will be some GPA requirements that we'll talk about, but for the most part, it'll save you the time of to prep for the test and then take the test, and then also save the money for taking the test. So I remember for the GMAT, it was like $500 when I took it a while back. GRE was pretty close, probably like $250 or something. Mm-hmm. So save you some time and money. And then the last is the Pathway Scholarship. So the graduate college has a special scholarship that they offer just to what we call accelerated, but what they call the pathway programs or the combined programs. So you have the opportunity to apply, and then there's some criteria you got to follow. And if you're accepted for that scholarship, you get $1,000 when you start the program, and then $1,000 when you finish the program if you finish the master's component within like 2 years or less. So can't complain with a free $2,000. So that's kind of an overview. So how are we feeling? Overview, any questions, concerns at this point? No? You all look like you got so much energy, excitement. I'm being sarcastic. I'll cover this part. So in terms of admissions, like I said before, you won't have to take the GRE, the GMAT, but there are some admissions requirements that we have. So the first is that you have to have a cumulative undergraduate GPA of a 3.0 or higher. So that's your overall, including your MIS classes and your other regular business core courses. So you want to make sure when you're looking into account of whether you're going to be in this program or not, it's for those that are trying to, obviously not get the highest grades in the class, because you don't have to have a perfect 4.0 to get in the program. But it's going to be a little bit more requirement on academic rigor for you to have some good grades for this program. So that's the first piece. The second is for your MIS courses, and we'll list them in a little bit. You have to have a minimum of a 3.0 or higher, so that's basically your B and up, right? So in that case, not just your overall GPA, but also your MIS courses specifically. So that's something you'll want to look at. We have a statement of purpose that talks about essentially why you want to enter the program, what's your interest, what's some of your career goals, just so that we can get a general idea of what your interests are. And then, like I said, you don't have to take the GMAT or the GRE, which is nice. So those are the general admissions requirements. So questions on those? How we feeling? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to pass it off now to Michelle so that she can kind of jump into the how do I apply and some of those additional details.
Once you declare your major and you come over to the College of Business, it's important that you are familiar with Gilly Verbone. If you even have the faintest, you may want to do this in the future, because Gilly is the undergraduate advisor that is assigned specifically for the accelerated program. Not just traditional MIS, but if you are interested in the accelerated program, you want to make sure that you're scheduling appointments with Gilly when you go for advising, as well as if you happen to come in a walk-in day, you can also request or say that I'm interested in the accelerated program, and the staff will make sure that she sees you. You do have to declare an undergraduate concentration in order to qualify for the program. Gilly will make sure that you're taking appropriate classes when they are offered, so you're ready to apply for the accelerated program. And again, I can't stress this enough. The earlier, the better. If you feel like this is something that you might want to do, go see Gilly as soon as you are declared as a College of Business major. So you've talked to Gilly, you've decided that this is what you want to do. She has worked with you to make sure that you have met the concentration and taking the classes that are required. You have the 3.0, actually you have a 3.78, GPA, so you're good and you're ready to go. At that point in time, Gilly will work with you on scheduling a graduation audit. So this is important because we need to know when exactly you're going to graduate, because that determines the semester that you apply for this particular program. So once all of that is done, Gilly usually introduces you to me or sends you, gives you a card, emails me, and lets me know, hey, this student is interested in the accelerated program, and we go ahead and have a discussion. The graduate advising office is a lot more flexible than undergrad. We accept walk-ins every single day. You don't necessarily need an appointment. An appointment is great, especially if you have specific questions, but we try to be very flexible for graduate students. So if you have questions and you want to meet with me and you have some time when you're around campus, you can certainly come through and speak with me. We usually discuss whether or not the accelerated program or the traditional program is going to be a better fit for you, depending on what your goals are and how quickly you want to complete the degree, what your GPA is like, how strong a candidate you are. Those are some things that we will discuss. And if we decide that the accelerated program is the best fit for you, then we go ahead and submit an application. So this is pretty important to note. There's a specific portion on the application, and if you decide to apply for the program, you do so on the Graduate College webpage. So it is graduate.fau.edu, and you're going to apply online. There's nothing specific that indicates at that point in time that you're applying for the accelerated program, but once you have created an account and started the application process, as you see here, you're going to identify yourself as someone who is applying for the combined program. Why is this so important? Because if you don't do this, then you get grouped in with all the traditional MSITM students, and I'm going to be looking for test scores. So I'm not going to process your application because I'm thinking, hey, we're waiting on so-and-so to submit test scores. So it's important that you select that. And I also encourage students to let me know. Send me an email. Hey, we talked. I did submit my application. That way I can be on the lookout for it. There is a $30 application fee when you're applying. And again, you want to make sure that you indicate that you are pursuing a BBA and the Management Information Systems degree. So what do we look for when a student applies? That's okay. We're looking at some key courses that have been identified as specific courses that can attest to your ability to do well in the MSITM program. So ideally, a student should have taken all of these courses at the time that they're ready to apply. And again, we look for a 3.0 minimum GPA when making a decision. We do run into some cases where a student may not have necessarily been able to complete all of these courses. Maybe they have 4 of these and 2 courses from the concentration. We can definitely work with that. So if you're in doubt, it's always good, check with Gilly and then check with me because we do have a little bit of flexibility as far as that is concerned. So again, you complete the online application, which was available on the previous slide. You're gonna write your statement of purpose that Dr. Sweet spoke about earlier. You can either upload those documents on the application itself, or you can submit them directly to the graduate advising office, which is right across from the undergraduate advising office. Depending on your situation, you may be asked to have an interview. We've had maybe 2 or 3 cases where we decided that an interview was necessary, but generally Dr. Sweet knows you, you prove that you can do well in the MIS courses, and we're able to make an admissions decision without actually having an interview. So again, when do you apply? Ideally, you want to apply during your 2nd semester as a junior. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what would the interview be necessary for, just to get to know the person in case you weren't particularly familiar with that individual?
That would be one instance. Maybe you have the 3.0, but you received the C in one of these courses, so that may be something we want to look into a little bit deeper. You're just at the 3.0, you're not well above it, and you're in a situation where you're still taking classes and that could affect it. So we like to get a better feel for you and make sure that you understand the importance of the 3.0 and meeting that threshold. If you think about it, at the graduate level, 3.0 is the minimum. Anything below that, it puts you in academic jeopardy, or academic, what's the word I'm looking for? Probation. So that's 2.0 at the undergraduate level. So that's why that's so important. So in cases like that, that's where we would ask, to have an interview with the student. So ideally, you want to apply your 2nd semester as an undergraduate junior. Seniors, to be honest with you, most of our students are seniors when they apply, just because students are coming from various undergraduate backgrounds, whether they transferred in from a community college or they changed their major several times. So sometimes the timing doesn't always work out, but we definitely can work with a student. The only instance where we really can't work with a student is when you've already submitted your application for a degree, and we can't get you into the graduate level course. That's the whole point of it being combined, is you take a graduate level course while you're still an undergrad. And again, if you have any questions, if you have a specific situation that's unique, definitely reach out to either Gilly or myself. Deadlines to apply. These are the deadlines, and you'll find these deadlines on the graduate college website as well as the College of Business website. Again, we have a little bit of flexibility with these. Generally, you should ideally be coming to speak to Gilly early enough where you know where you stand. Your application that you submit for the graduate program is actually for the semester after you graduate. So let's say I have a couple of students who are planning to graduate during the summer semester. The application that they submit online is for fall of 2020, because that will be the semester that they are actually considered a full graduate student. And depending on the number of credits that you have, that graduate level course could go towards your 120 credits, or it could be reserved for your graduate level credits. Okay, so again, depending on when you come into the program, I mentioned this earlier, you do have to select a concentration, whether it be business analytics or information security. If you have additional questions about requirements, you can definitely speak with Gilly. Dr. Sweet can also give you an idea of the differences between the two and what might be a better fit for you depending on your interest and career goals. And then once you are accepted into the program, your final semester as an undergraduate student, our bridge course is ISM 6405. So that's Advanced Business Analytics. And again, it can either be utilized towards your undergraduate 120 credits or towards your graduate degree. In the event that ISM 6405 is not offered during the semester that you have been admitted, we can look for a substitute. So if you happen to see it's not there, again, we can always come up with an alternative for you.
So the Advanced Business Analytics class, that applies to both information security and business analytics, the concentrations, to both concentrations?
That would be Dr. Sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ask me
I'm
something.
so I missed her.
I'll ask.
What was the
Yeah.
question?
Do you know if the ISM 6405 applies to both concentrations? Is it required for both?
It's not, it doesn't count toward, like, if you're gonna take both concentration, the 6405 is not a, like, concentration course.
Mm-hmm.
So it would count, like, the 6405 would generally count more towards the analytics piece.
Okay.
But because you're gonna substitute, you're not gonna take, the advanced business analytics undergraduate, you're gonna take one of these substitutes. So it's really not gonna be towards the undergraduate concentration as much as just part of your graduate courses that you're requiring, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, a lot of students that we've run into have utilized that course as a free elective.
Yeah.
So it hasn't actually gone towards either concentration.
So, but it's flexible, so if you're like, we work so much on a case-by-case basis because so many students have different cases that they're dealing with, so these are like, very traditional, I don't wanna say unicorn students that come in, but we don't have a ton that come in and have everything aligned perfectly, so.
Yeah.
It's really just getting in early and working with Michelle and Gilly and myself so that we can kind of put together your flight plan for this, so that way the transition is smooth and that everything counts. So that's
Gotcha.
really good.
The main reason why I'm asking is just because I was accepted into the program, so I'm trying to decide, or well, I know I need to take, I believe that's the course that Gilly and I agreed that I was gonna be taking in the summer. I was just curious if any of you knew if that class was going to be offered online.
It's not offered during the summer semester, so
Oh, so
the
it's not that.
alternate course that we've identified is QMB 6603.
Is that the Python?
6303.
6303, I'm sorry.
Okay, which is the class that has you learn Python?
That's the
That's
6405.
6405.
Oh. Thanks, okay.
So what we can do is, in your case, we may have to figure out alternates, like if you really wanna take this class,
Uh-huh.
we may work together and try to figure out if you can take another graduate class, undergraduate, and then save that one. Like if you're really wanting to take that one because of the tools that are learned, because
Yeah.
you're in the summer, we'll work on like a case-by-case basis for that one.
Okay.
What's your name?
Thomas. We've emailed
Okay.
each other a couple
Okay.
times.
Yeah, I know usually names, not faces. So
Yeah.
you should come see me.
Yeah.
So important, again, if it's not offered, we really do this on a case-by-case basis. And the most important thing, and I mentioned a little bit about this before, is 3.0. 3.0 is the minimum GPA in order to stay in good academic standing, okay?
I can jump in now. Thanks, Michelle. Didn't she
No
do
problem.
awesome? I
How
can't
many
compete
times did I
I can't compete with Michelle here, so. So pretty much now what we'll do is kind of look at some of the general schedules that you'll follow, kind of moving forward. And like I said, this is an ideal scenario. Everybody's going to have probably different cases that they're going to work with, but this is sort of a general process. So like I said, you'll choose between information security or business analytics. It probably won't be until maybe fall if we're lucky. We're actually going to be changing information security to cybersecurity. So it's already like in the works, but I'm giving you like behind the scenes info. But either way, you'll have to choose between one of those two concentrations. So if you chose the analytics concentration, pretty much here at the undergraduate, you would take your introduction to business analytics, and then your data mining, and then like I said, because you're not taking advanced business analytics at the undergraduate level, that's the graduate substitute that you take. You would do either social media and web analytics, which is usually the preference because it's more of an analytics course, or if it doesn't work with your schedule, you can take the digital data management class. Either one of them is going to satisfy that one. And then your grad courses, transitioning in, you would do the advanced business analytics, and then your ISM 6026 is basically like the graduate level of ISM 3011, and then you'd have your GEB 6215, which is the graduate level of the GEB 3213, or 3223, whatever it is. So the only thing that's different with the GEB 6215 than your undergraduate version is when you take GEB 6215 at the graduate level, that class actually continues on into your other courses. So you'll finish it, but then you'll generally get an incomplete at the end of that semester. And the reason it is because your professor for that class is sort of your academic coach in terms of communications going into your other courses. So in your other classes, you'll have presentations, short papers, and research papers. So for the research papers and the presentations, and for the short papers, you'll actually be submitting those back to your GEB professor, and they review it to see if you're following APA guidelines, to see if the style, basically just reviewing it as someone that's sort of someone looking from the outside that's an expert to see, are you actually implementing things that that we taught you to do. So for the research paper and the presentation, you submit the research paper and the short paper you submit to the professor. For the presentation, they'll actually come in and record your session. So it's a little bit intimidating, but it's really interesting to kind of see yourself from a different perspective. And your professor that you're working with is not there to, just be this like evil, maniacal, laughing type of person that wants to see, your life go down the drain because you're not a good presenter, right? It's none of those things. So the focus of that is to help you improve as a communicator. So that's how that class works. So it's very important when you're taking some of these courses, especially like ISM 6026, to take GEB earlier so that way it's integrated into your other courses. Because the last thing we want you to do is wait to take GEB later on, and then you've already missed several opportunities to do some of these research papers and presentations and some of these other things. So that's kind of an example of the undergraduate track going into the graduate classes. So you got questions on any of those? So I know I keep looking over at Angie. I don't want to pull her up, but Angie's in the accelerated and she did the business analytics track. So if we get through and you have any questions of like, I want to hear from people who have been through it, Angie's one that can kind of talk about that one a little bit as well. So on the security side, it's a little bit different, so there's some similarities. So you'll take our Intro to Cybersecurity, which was, before that was our Information System Security course, the regular title, and now we've upgraded that one, and you can kind of see how now we're moving towards cyber, because now we're even changing the name of it. So you have your Intro to Cyber, your Information Assurance course, and your Computer Forensics. Those would be the sort of the core. If for some reason, I think it'll be a little bit smoother this time around, because sometimes what happens is a lot of the security classes are very spring semester focused. So if you don't take a lot of them in the spring, and let's say you're transitioning in the fall and you want to take some in the fall, sometimes they're not offered. So thankfully, through the help of Michelle and the other advisors, they bring this to our attention, and so I'm able to let the chair know and say, hey, we have a lot of students that are struggling to get in these classes in the fall. What are some options? So the chair's been flexible, so hopefully we have a couple more offerings in the fall, and maybe this won't be too much of a difficulty, but definitely always either let your advisor know, and then the advisors will let me know if you know, you're trying to get in a class and everything's filled for the actual concentration, because sometimes we don't know. We just assume, hey, the class filled, great, you know, it made this number, but we don't know that there's like 5 or 6 of you that are like, I need to graduate. So we need to know these things, so that way we can get you through. So. And then at the grad level, same aspect. So now going into the graduate, you also have an option between 2 concentrations, where in the past we didn't have a concentration at the graduate level. So at the graduate level, we have what's called our traditional MSITM, which is just our ITM concentration, which just stands for Information Technology Management. So that's our traditional, so the classes are very holistic. So if you look on that program sheet that I had in the packets there for MSITM, you can see the courses that are listed there. It's the one with all the boxes on it. You can kind of see the one side is analytics and the other side is security. So you can get an idea of how those classes look. And those, you can see we have 5 required classes for the core. And then you actually have one for what we call a College of Business ITOM elective, but that one's actually used from ISM 6405. So that's why I don't want you to get confused where if you see there's an elective on the sheet, but you don't see it on the screen here, it's because you used it already for the accelerated part. So. There's also 3 engineering classes that you'll take. So for the engineering courses, you'll take them in the College of Engineering Computer Science. We've worked with the College of Engineering Computer Science to have sort of business recommended courses for our students, so we know, and obviously maybe you've heard that those courses are a little bit more challenging, mostly because of the different background that the computer science students have that, you know, our students as MIS students don't necessarily have. So computer science has been they've worked with us a lot to be able to try to figure out how can we make, you know, this work, you know, for all of us. So thankfully they've each semester they give us a list of some of the classes that they recommend to our students that are a little bit more business student friendly. So you'll work with Michelle when you're putting together your plan of study at the graduate level, and you'll go off of that list, so that way at least you'll feel a little bit less intimidated going into a class. So there's still other classes you can take over there as well if you're the type that just wants to take, you know, some of the more advanced classes or maybe a specific, but we would just recommend you stick to the ones that computer science says are sort of business friendly.
Strongly recommend.
So then on the business analytics concentration, so that's the other option. So what some students may do, it's up to you. Some students that did information security at the undergraduate will change and do analytics at the graduate level. Some will stay analytics undergraduate and grad. Some will do analytics undergraduate and then switch and do the information technology management concentration. It's really up to you of what your interest is. But you'll kind of see after you take some of the classes what you like and what you don't like. So that's kind of how I'll tell most students, or after you're doing, let's say, an internship or you're working somewhere, you may decide, hey, I hate analytics, or hey, I love security, or hey, my position that I'm trying to go into is more holistic, so I don't want to specialize in analytics for the graduate level. So really up to you. Okay. So we have the required classes a little bit different. You can see, obviously, the focus is more on analytics. And then you have one elective that you can choose from the department. And then the same, you have the 3 engineering classes that you'll take. All right, so that's the analytics course schedule. So how do we feel on that one? Any questions? So then the last in terms of courses that we have in terms of an option, we have an internship for credit course that we offer every semester, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. So at the undergraduate, if you're doing the accelerator program, it's a little more, you have, I want to say it's harder, but it takes a little bit of extra work to allow the internship for credit class to count towards your undergraduate, because you have to apply it to a specific class. So for example, let's say you're doing you know, the information security concentration. To have it count in place of any of your security classes, your internship would have to relate to whatever the class was about. So if you're trying to get out of, let's say, computer forensics, your internship has to be working with, you know, something related in security that would allow you to be able to substitute. So for that, you would generally fill out a petition that you would send to the chair and basically say, I'd like this internship class to substitute for this security class because my internship is doing X, Y, Z. So that's at the undergraduate. Obviously, if you have free electives somehow, maybe you have some that are just for your major as a whole, not specifically to the accelerated program, then by all means, it's a very smooth process for that piece. But if you're looking at it in terms of taking it in place of one of the other classes, sometimes that's challenging. At the graduate level, super easy. So the graduate level, you can substitute it for any of your classes except those core, so you can't do it for ISM 6026 or GEB. But for your other courses, really easy substitute. The course is offered every semester, so summer, fall, and spring. I'm actually covering for Dr. Denev this summer teaching it, so that'll be kind of an interesting one. So the process for the internship is really smooth. The biggest thing is getting an internship. So once you're able to secure an internship, you have to have a minimum of 120 hours that you're working over the semester for the internship. And if you're thinking about doing it in the summer, all you generally would do is after you secure the internship, you send me an email that has, your name, obviously, the name of the company that you're going to be doing the internship for, who your supervisor will be. If they've sent you some type of letter saying you've been accepted for the internship or some kind of email correspondence, let me know that. And then once I get that information, then I'll send an email over to advising, and then they'll give you permission to register for the class. So really great. The class is very, I don't want to say like it's an easy class because it's still going to take some work, but the predominant requirement for the course is you doing the internship. So the focus is you doing the internship, and then the paperwork side of the class is just you putting together some learning goals that you want to get out of the internship, and then you just do some status updates of how those things are going. And at the end of the semester, you write a reflective paper on how the whole internship was. So not too much difficulty on that one. You just got to keep up with the material. So that's the internship.
And
Yeah,
a
go.
plug for my department, if you do need assistance with landing an internship, identifying an internship, job interview, resume, College of Business has a career development staff. So Jody K. Reese on the undergraduate side, and Dan Cromley on the graduate side. So those resources are there for you. If you never thought about getting an internship and you want to do it, they can help you from point A all the way through to point Z.
All right, and that's right. Pathway scholarships. So we talked about this before. So the pathway is through the graduate college. So generally, what you would do is if you go on the website that they have, fau.edu/graduate/pathway, they'll have the information that you'd follow there. Generally, you apply. You have to first be accepted into the program before you can apply, and then they've gotten a little bit more stringent on the process. So you have to just pay attention to the guidelines that they have of when they need you to apply. But I think most students, when they've went through that, have been pretty successful. So I don't know. Angie, did you go for that one at all, the pathway? No. Okay. And then last but not least, we know about MISA, hopefully. If you don't, MISA is our MIS student organization. We actually meet in this room every Thursday. So like I said, we're thankful for MISA for allowing us to be able to crash the session and talk about our program. But MISA is also another great opportunity for you to get not only just connected and get to meet other MIS students and those that are interested in technology, but also when it comes to internship and full-time job opportunities. I can barely even keep track of all the students that we've had that have either gotten internships, gotten full-times, or started an internship and that converted into a full-time just because of one of the info sessions that we've had. So really great opportunity this semester. We have a couple companies left that'll be coming in. So I think NCCI just canceled because of the coronavirus. It's a little bit overkill for them to cancel, but what can you do? Office Depot is going to be coming in. AutoNation is a good one. They got a couple interns from last summer, and then I'll work on finding another company to come in for NCCI's place. But we have still a couple left, and then also working with the Career Center. So Byron Knight is actually the College of Business liaison for the Career Center. So he's a good one as well, because there's a lot of jobs on Handshake, which is the university's sort of job portal that they have for job posting, so that's a great opportunity as well. And then there's a lot of resources that the Career Center has to help you, so not just improving your resume and those type of things. They have mock interviews that you can do. I was talking with a student today that was saying they have shadowing options that you can go through and shadow employees in different fields. So you don't have to necessarily do an internship, you just shadow them around and kind of see what it's like a day in the life of, for these particular individuals. So a lot of resources, a lot of things that are out there, just gotta make the time to take advantage of those things. So that's pretty much our session. So if you want, I know a lot of you were asking questions throughout, but if there's any other questions that you have, we can kind of open it up. Yeah, Julius.
I don't know if I missed it, but is there any additional cost for the accelerated program other than the cost of the courses themselves?
It's a $30 application fee,
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, you would follow, we don't have like any extra premiums or anything that you'd pay to go into the program. So you would follow the regular university, fee schedule for all your classes. Obviously the graduate classes would be more than undergraduate, but we don't have, that just follows the regular university's fee schedule. So we don't tack on any extra premiums.
And there, if you do some comparison, if you're looking at other MSITM programs, the savings that you get here at FAU, if you're a Florida resident, are phenomenal. So I think it's about $12,000 for the entire degree. Yeah.
At the graduate level, so. And then, like I said, some students will try to find assistantships on campus. Sometimes they're there. The waivers that we've had for assistantships are harder and harder to come by, but there still are students that are able to get that to be able to offset, the cost for the program. But some of you, if you're working full-time, some employers do have, some tuition reimbursement programs if you're working somewhere. So definitely, check those out as well. So. Other, yes.
A question. You mentioned the junior year. If we decide to go for the accelerated program, we get accepted. But for some circumstances, at the end of the senior year, we don't go for the master's degree. What happens with our, is there any additional course that we do, or delays the undergraduate, or any cons related with that?
Once you have achieved your 120 credits, they're gonna graduate you. They want to graduate you. So if, let's say for some reason you are unable to continue, you move, you have a baby, you get married, those credits will still be there at the graduate level, but, and you can always reapply at a later date, but there's no real penalty to the student.
Other thing that we didn't mention earlier, if for some reason, let's say you're late on applying for the accelerated program, let's say you already put in your application to degree and you were sleeping under a rock and then you woke up and then you're like, I want to do the accelerated, and then we're like, sorry, you're too late. Or maybe you didn't have a 3.0 specifically in your MIS classes, but maybe your overall GPA was high enough. We have what we call sort of an alternate option for our MIS students. So if you graduated with an undergraduate degree in MIS from FAU, you have the option through some changes that was done with the program that allows you, if you have in your last 60 credits, if you had a 3.25 or higher GPA overall for those last 60, we waive the GMAT or GRE. So you're able to sort of, it's an alternate accelerated, so obviously it's not going to be as smooth as the accelerated would be, and there's not that additional class that you can take as an undergrad and kind of, help that process go a little bit smoother. But it is an option for those of you that are maybe late, or if maybe you're kind of on the fence and you want to say, well, let me see how the classes go, and then I'll make my decision later. So just so you know, we have that option as well. And then the alternate option is if you apply the traditional program. So you go take the GRE GMAT. It's still the same program, so I don't want you to feel like you're gonna be missing out. It's still the same, MS program, it's just
Same
giving you
advisor,
options, yeah, so.
same degree.
Michelle's a little cooler for the accelerated part, just kidding. God bless you. Any other questions? That's it? All right, that's all we got,
Thank
so,
you.
oh, yeah, question, yeah.
I've noticed that there are some time restrictions. I think this is really specifically with the scholarship, but for the program itself, I work full-time, so, and I'm on the ESP, so I'm taking 2 classes a semester.
Okay, yeah.
So it's 5 years, isn't really gonna happen. So is that an issue with this program? Because I'll be a part-time student throughout the entire process.
I don't know,
No.
the only issue is if you don't complete the program within
Right.
that 2-year time frame, you won't be eligible for the Pathway Scholarship, but otherwise,
That'll be
yeah.
Yeah,
but-
you're already getting the scholarship.
Yeah, so that's the only.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, the accelerated sometimes makes it seem like you gotta do it,
Yeah.
super fast.
Yeah.
But it's really, we're just like accelerating you through the admissions process for the graduate, so. Yeah.
When it comes to the concentrations for the undergraduate, whether it be business analytics or information security, soon to be cybersecurity, would you recommend anyone in particular since, cause of the graduate courses, like is there like a to make it the easiest, like transition, would it be like you take the same and keep the same, or do you tend to switch?
Yeah, it's up to you. We've had plenty of students that did analytics undergrad and grad. We've had students that have done security undergrad, analytics grad. We've had them do all different types of combinations. So it depends on your interest, and most students will kind of depend it on where their career trajectory is kind of going. So maybe you were interested in security when you started, and then maybe you did an internship, and then you saw, hey, there's a lot of opportunity in analytics, and so you find that there's an interest and you decide to change it. So there's not really like one preferred where we say, hey, this is what we think you should do. It's really up to you to kind of forge your own, path on which one's going to be the best combo. So, because Angie, you did both analytics, undergrad and grad. Yeah. So, but I know some students for the security side, they'll do security undergrad because we don't offer a security concentration at the graduate level. So if some of them want to have, get the most exclusivity, they'll do security undergrad and then analytics grad because they can kind of choose from wherever. But it's totally up to you. All right. There's the man with the legend. So this is Al. We all know Al Campbell, MS.
Thank you.
So Al completed the accelerated program, and now he's working full-time for executive ed. So Al, you did security undergrad, and then what did you do grad?
I did security as well.
Well, you did the information technology management, the traditional one.
Yes, sir.
So there you go. So right there, we got 2 accelerateds that did 2 totally different things.
My
All right.
cards are here, if anyone wants to grab one, you have questions for me, I'd be happy to sit with you and help you out.
We got different snacks and stuff in the back, so feel free and grab some of those. If we can do our group picture, since there's not